What's going on, guys? Jivan back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a box fight technique that I saw Joji use in one of his recent videos. I had never seen it before and I was like, that could be actually a really good technique. So I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys. I've been practicing it for the last few days, trying to get it down, learning all the pros and cons, and hopefully it'll help some of you out. Before we start this video, please consider using code JivanTV in the Fortnite item shop, or at least make sure you're using somebody's code because it helps us out a ton. Now let's get into this video. So in this clip, check out how I pushed this box. First off, just ignore all the missed shots I'm about, I know. So most people know that if you edit a ramp backwards, that can be good protection while pushing a box, but if you edit it sideways, you can use it to counter peek and take their walls. Notice how he set up the right hand peanut butter peek and I was able to just shoot the bottom of the wall without ever giving him an angle. I'm gonna slow it down real quick. So when I edit the ramp sideways, I'm able to jump when he makes the right hand peek down low, and then when he makes a top right hand peek, I just have to duck under my ramp and take his wall. So basically the idea with this ramp push is that you want your opponent to edit on you and then you dodge their shot and take their wall. They're going to be trying to take a free shot, but you're going to use the ramp as a counter peek method and then take their wall when they're not even holding it. Usually when people edit a right hand peek, they don't have their builds out. So by using this move, you get your opponent to make an edit on you. You need to position yourself in a place where they won't have an angle, and then you shoot their wall from there while the wall is still one shot. So that's the basic idea of the peek. However, there are a lot of things you need to keep in mind while doing this for it to work. So make sure you stay tuned for this entire video, otherwise you're probably going to be really lost while using it in Arena. So first off, the way you can practice this is grab a friend, go into creative just like I'm doing with Ken Beans here, and then just set up boxes and go at it. Have one person be on a cone like a normal person, and then have one person be a weirdo like me going at it with this ramp push, and just take turns doing this. Practice it with different building materials because it is different when you use wood from brick from metal, because they're at different healths when you reset it and when you first build it. One thing I have noticed is it's the best to do it with wood, because if you do it with brick and metal, the opponent will be able to one-shot your ramp and place a cone in your box. If they ever do place a cone in your box, you need to back up to the back of the cone and counter peek from back there. One thing that's really good with this move is this right hand peek that I'm showing right here. You can see that it's even more protected than a normal right hand peanut butter peek because the ramp has extra protection to it. The easiest way to set this up is by grabbing the lower left hand side of the wall just like I do here to set it up. Before we get into in-game examples and what I've learned from trying to do it in Arena, I want to show you guys what it looks like from the other direction, being on the opposing side of the ramp push. That way you know how awkward it looks from their direction. So we got my boy Ken Beans pushing up here, and you can see that anytime I make an edit, he's just able to instantly take it before I'm even able to set up a peek. We'll just be going back and forth, and he's doing more damage to me than I'm doing to him. We tried this out for like 30 minutes, and even with our lack of experience with this ramp push method, the person who is pushing with the awkward ramp was usually the one winning the fight. I'd say 9 times out of 10, they won the fight. And right there, by the way, when I said counter peek with a cone, that's what I was talking about. You hug the back edge of the cone and try to shoot the wall. But notice how I'm going for these right hand peeks, and just by simply counter peeking with the ramp in the other box, I'm not able to get an angle on Ken. So yeah, that's the general idea of it, but let me get into more detail on what I've learned. I struggled a lot with it at first. So first thing to note is if you don't counter peek right, you're going to get killed every time while doing this move. You need to make sure that you put almost all your attention on your movement and using the ramp as cover. If you just set this up and push up to a box like I'm doing here, without doing the movement correctly, you're gonna get clapped. Notice how I'm not using the ramp as cover at all here. Make sure you practice it enough and creative with a friend, that way you don't make this mistake. It's a really different move than anything else you may have ever tried, so you gotta make sure you practice. And practicing this move is going to help you out. Learning new stuff in the game is what sets you ahead of other players. You may not use this ramp push every single time, but having it in your arsenal will help you out. Next thing we're going to talk about is how to set up this ramp push. If you push up in the wrong way, you might get clapped. So this is the method that I found it works the best. If you drop on the box like this, placing the ramp to block their angle immediately, that's a good way to push up. And then you got to make sure you get the walls around you and maybe put a cone on top. That way if they edit out the top, you can still place a wall to block their direction going up. I didn't do it in any of these clips, but that's something to keep in mind. So ramp first, walls around you, that way they can't piece you up, and then a cone on top. So another thing is you want to get the opponent to edit on you. You want to make sure you're keeping your distance far enough that you're able to counter peek when they do edit on you. So at the start of this clip, I'm just trying to bait them and make them edit. If you're just pickaxing their wall, they might surprise you with a quick edit, so you always got to be ready for them to make that edit so you can counter peek. So this is the next thing you need to keep in mind. Sometimes players will jump right into your box. So when they do that, make sure you're ready to reset the ramp. This was one of my first games trying this move, so I wasn't ready for him to jump in like that. But once I saw that he was in my box and I reset that ramp, he was just trapped under my builds. I got into the other box and set up peaks from there. I could have played that a little better by resetting the ramp right away, but like I said, this is one of my first times trying this move. So another piece of advice I have you that is so crucial to help you get this down. Anytime you're trying to learn a new move in Arena, once you get on that battle bus at the start of the game, put it in your head. Think, I want to try to do this move at least once in this game. If you remind yourself throughout the game and whenever you're on the battle bus, it'll get it in your head to try this move, and then you'll start noticing yourself do it more and more naturally. I'm going to be reminding myself every single game for the next week to try this move once per game. That way I can master it, and then at some point, it'll become instinct for me to do this move and to do it right. Alright, so this fight here that you just saw was a perfect example of how to do it, and of what to be careful of. So notice how I set it up. I got the ramp and then the walls around me. I'm paying attention to his movement, and I see him jump into my box. As soon as he does that, I switch positions with him. I almost choked this because I'm a bot, but you know what? We did that perfectly. We switched positions with him. I should have been holding the wall when he shot it, but I had the right idea there. Here's another thing to be careful of when you're doing this move. So as you'll see in this clip, I set up a really wide edit when I'm taking my shots here. You'll see it right here. Notice how I make that entire bottom right triangle edit. This is good to apply a lot of pressure and really open them up to some shots, but when you try to reset your wall, you're gonna reset your ramp as well, unless you do it perfectly. But what would have been better there is if I set up a window peak, got closer up to the window, and used that window peak as a right-hand edit. That's one of the nice things about this move, is that you can get up close to your wall and set up a perfect right-hand peek to do a lot of damage. I still played that fight really well. You know, I kept my distance. That way if they shot me, they wouldn't hit me for very much. But that's another thing to keep in mind. Make sure you're practicing really smart right-hand peeks while you're in creative practicing with your friends. Now, last thing I want to note about this move is that it can be paired up with Ken Bean's classic move really well. If you haven't heard about the Ken Bean's Classic, he made a video about a ramp peak that's really similar to this move. It's just for when people are a box above you. I'm putting that link in the description for those of you that want to check it out. But just a reminder, make sure you practice this in creative, put it in your head when you're on the battle bus going into the game, and give it time. You're going to choke it a lot at first, but with time you'll be able to nail it and probably outplay a lot of players with it. Hopefully this video helped you out. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, use code JivanTV in the item shop, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.